You're listening to the Road to Wisdom podcast, weaving stories told by wonderful minds about all things motherhood, health, intimacy, politics, nature, and everything in between.
Join us on an adventure discovering unique experiences that we can learn from to enhance the ways in which we live.
We are your hosts, Chloe
and Keshia. All right. Hey, everyone. Hi, listeners. This is a little bonus episode, a little extra content for you because Chloe and I have been keeping a little secret from everyone. Before we get into that, though, I'd really like to just say thank you again. We've been receiving incredible feedback from you all, and it's really encouraging and man, it's propping us up. So thank you. We are so excited that our content and the information we're bringing to everyone is landing and filling a gap which we found out there in the interwebs. So we're glad that it is also filling the gap for you guys. So thank you so much.
There's okay. So there's a reason why we have probably moved in a direction with the type of interviews we've been having and the type of guests that we've been having on. Because at the start we were like, we want to talk about certain things, like what kind of topics do we have? Like we want to talk about like nutrition and health and like super alternative stuff and like political things and more like, I don't know, just we were keen to have those difficult conversations about things that were happening in the world.
Cultural changes, how that's affecting how we run our lives, how we make the decisions we're making. There was just so many and are so many topics to explore and topics that we've started exploring that we are deep into as well, which are all still wildly interesting, and we will be going into
them, and we have plans to. But you might have noticed that we've been talking a lot about free birth. We've been having guests on our show that are very much in like the birthing realm, birth keepers, doulas, old wise women. And that's because
someone's pregnant.
Well, do you guys want to guess for a couple of hot seconds who it is?
And you guessed right. It is both of us. Yes. We are both pregnant, which has actually come to a surprise, to both of us.
It's so mind-blowing, right? Because, okay, we're going to share the story because we think it's just every single day or whenever we get together, I'm like, is this really happening? Like, did we really get pregnant at the same time in the same month? So I do want to share the story, and can we go there? Can we tell the story?
We can share.
Okay, so basically Keshia, so our first 7 episodes or something, we actually released while Keshia and her family were in Italy for like 7 weeks. And so when Keshia got back and we got back together and back in the studio and we started recording, Keshia was like, oh, I just had a weird like 1-day period. And I was like, are you sure that wasn't like implantation bleeding? You're like, no, absolutely not. There's no chance. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm sure you know your body. And then like we'd have,
I forgot about the implantation bleed. I was like, I was meant to get my period. It was just because that's actually never happened to me before. I was like, I'm due to have my period, and something really weird happened. I had my period for like half an hour and then it stopped.
And you were just like, absolutely not. There's no way that could happen. And then like you sent me a couple of voice messages and were like, oh, I just feel like I've been ovulating for weeks. And I was like,
tell me more about your pregnancy symptoms.
It sounds like you could be pregnant. And you're like, absolutely not. And while all that was happening, Brenton and I got engaged on the 26th of July and conceived that night because it was a very exciting time. And so I was thinking...
Hang on, did we just drop a second bomb?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, these guys are engaged. So we also have a wedding
we also
coming up.
haven't announced on either of our socials because I just didn't want it to be like a vanilla announcement, like a really underwhelming announcement. And we just haven't had the time. Anyway, so I was like, well, I could be pregnant too because that happened and it was a very... Yeah, like it just happened. And it was, I guess we were never closed to the thought of it or open to the option of it. But I was like happy if it didn't happen. It turns out that I did get pregnant. I did conceive then. And so while you were stumbling, trying to figure out what was going on with you, I'm checking my like cycle. I'm like, okay, it's day like 28. And my cycle length with this postpartum was quite long and unpredictable. And that's the first time that's ever happened for me. So I was kind of like, yeah, but I might not be because, it's just my cycle couldn't go up to 35 days at the moment. And anyway, you're like, no, you're pregnant. And I was like, no, but I think you're pregnant actually because you had that implantation bleeding and all the while, like I'm looking at you feeding Poet and you're like, oh my God, my nipples are so sore. And I was like, you are crazy if you don't think that you're pregnant at this point. And then what happened for you? Something big, something clicked for you. I can't remember what it was. And you were like, I actually think I am.
So my nonna's sister, my daughter, who lives in Melbourne with my family, my nonna passing a few months ago, she has had dinner with my immediate family. And at the dinner, and she's a little bit of an oddball and an intuit, and at the dinner she was like, oh, Keshia's pregnant. And they were like, no, I think she's in her 90s. So my family were like, no, she's done, because me and Toga were like, no, we're done. We're good. We're solid. And my sister called up that night and she was like, oh my God, you will never guess what Dada said at dinner the other night. She said that you're pregnant. And I think the penny just dropped for me then, because I was like, I haven't had my period. Like my period was due 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or something. I'm like, I've been starting to feel a little nauseous, which, can sometimes be my premenstrual symptom. However, my premenstrual symptoms don't usually come 3 weeks after my bleed is meant to come. And I think that's when the penny dropped, and we were actually recording that day, and I was just like, oh my God.
I think we were actually talking to Vanessa that day.
Ginty.
Yes. But it's funny because we'd spoken to Vanessa, was it the week before? And we had no idea. But Vanessa was pregnant
as well.
And we were probably like 5 weeks pregnant or something.
Yeah.
And we had no idea each person's situation because we weren't even sure. And then then we had a conversation with Luna and then Ginty and Layla even. And we were like, oh, we're probably pregnant. It's funny, like making such a joke about it.
Clucky with all the babies that were coming in for birth stories. So anyway, turns out we are both pregnant, and these babies are going to be due within a few weeks of each other. So in April, we will be welcoming 2 new members to the Road to Wisdom family.
Oh my God, which makes our tribe 10 children between us.
10 children. So instead of saying to all of our guests, so we have 8 children between us. Now you can get really annoyed at us saying, so we have 10 children between us.
So if you're a climate change activist that believes that we should not be having children, I think you should turn it off now because you're going to be triggered.
But I think what is important to announce is that while we will be getting very excited and speaking to many people in the birth world and in I guess in that whole new stage of mothering and postpartum period, we are also going to stay onto the content that we have promised, because it is also still well in our realm. So we do have lots of exciting guests coming up. We will still be talking about intimacy and relationships, something that everyone has very strongly indicated to us that is interesting. And we will be also speaking to...
Should we let people know a couple of our guests that we're really excited to talk to?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like we should keep it a surprise.
Okay.
But there are some really juicy guests coming, and we will be releasing that as we do the interviews. And gosh, yeah. What else?
Yeah, I mean, if you are like listening and it feels a lot birth related, pregnancy related, don't be scared to just knock on the door and let us know that you would love to hear about a certain topic, because we're super open. We're obviously just excited about, it's actually really cool because we just had a conversation with Jalal and Jalal Khan about quantum health, and he said that the reason why we got pregnant together is called quantum entanglement, which is like when you hang out with each other so much, so you kind of become one.
You know, sometimes how you bleed sync. Well, our pregnancy synced. Shit.
Yeah. So if you don't want to get pregnant, don't hang out with your fertile friends.
Man.
Enough that you could become quantum entangled. That's so crazy. I'm like, is that really happening? Are we really? How did that happen?
I know.
But then we were just talking to Ria, and she was like, back in the day when like sisters used to hang out a lot, like in tribes and things, like their ovulations would sync and they would all conceive together.
Yeah, which is wild, isn't it? I'm still really banking on being at your birth though. So I'm like, if I had to put it out there, I feel like your baby's dropping first.
It probably will, because I've typically had a shorter gestation and you've gone
over. Oi, these babies are going to rock the boat and be like, Keshia dropping first and Chloe after.
My baby will be born at 44 weeks, you watch.
So anyway, watch this space, people, but it's about to get interesting. One other thing that we are really hell-bent on doing is making sure that we can provide content over the time that we will be taking a bit of leave to birth and grow and recover and heal. So we will be doing lots of recordings to make sure that we can cover that space. However, if there is a week or so break in there,
have some grace.
Yeah, we ask for some grace.
On the topic of grace, if you notice that we just don't have the capacity to get our words out, this is why. This is our 5th pregnancy each. And I think we're allowed to word vomit from time to time and get away
brain
with it.
fart. Yeah. I know. I like to think that that's a thing, but we will be having a guest on who has like the most incredible vocabulary, and she's 10 babies deep. So a little hint out there, but she'll be putting us to shame because she definitely doesn't use excuses like baby brain.
Yeah. Well, I'll remember not to mention that when she comes on. She'll whip me.
Oh, can you just tell us how you do it?
Yeah. Lots to learn.
Well, also, as we release this, we are looking at doing a big old giveaway in celebration of we've actually hit quite a few milestones in the podcast. So that's very exciting. And we really just want to thank all of you guys. So we'll be doing a little giveaway in celebration of welcoming 2 new members to the Road to Wisdom family, and also in celebration of hitting so many epic milestones.
Yeah, it's really time to celebrate. I feel like we keep hitting these milestones and the next one just happens and goes and keeps happening, and we've kind of let it go and not had an opportunity to celebrate. So we're going to try and also, if we can fit it in, have a really cool event coming up, which we're hoping we can pull off in time as a bit of a celebration and just a get together in person, because we absolutely love getting together in real time as well. Yeah. So watch out for that. Yeah. And anyway, I think that's all.
And get excited, because we will continue the content of free births. Nice, calm, beautiful, energetic free births, because you don't get to find them many places. And obviously we'll be protecting our space a little bit. So trying to make sure that we get, just
Only letting the
encased
good
in,
vibes in.
encased in all that delicious oxytocin and
Queen oxytocin, as Rhea Dempsey puts it.
Queen oxytocin. So if you have any friends in the same position or you know anyone who needs healing stories, we are going to keep those ones coming because they're so beautiful. And also it's always relaxing knowing that we can trust our bodies and our babies.
Yeah.
All right. Have we bored everyone enough now?
I think so.
Amazing. Let us know what you guys think. We'd love to hear from you. Obviously, I still haven't released my birth episodes, but we'll probably end up doing those ones and also your last 2 births so we can catch everyone up on previous experiences, what we've learnt, what we'll be taking into the next birth, what we're even fears that we need to expel, etc., and the process of that. And yeah, let us know if that's something you'll be interested in because we do want to hear from you. We want to keep the content engaging and interesting and valid for everyone. So yeah.
Amazing. And if you haven't already subscribed and given us a review on the place that you listen to podcasts, we would really appreciate that. And yeah, if there's any episodes that you've loved, feel free to share them, tag us on Instagram and all of the things.
Yeah. And when you do share them, actually, it does come
helpful.
up. Yeah, it comes up onto our feed so we know what you're really enjoying and we can keep
it coming.
More. Yeah.
All right, guys.
And also thank you to everyone who has subscribed. We have just had a massive influx of numbers. We actually can't believe it. We were talking about it the other day. Not that long ago, we're like, oh gosh, the subscribers are really low, and then they doubled in a couple of weeks. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
We'll speak to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Road to Wisdom podcast. To join the journey, you can follow us on Instagram at theroadtowisdom.podcast and at www.theroadtowisdompodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. We look forward to seeing you next week with more juicy content.